Hi, can you hear me? Is the audio quality okay? Hi, can you hear me? Is the audio quality okay? Okay, that's really good. Hello to everyone. Hi, everybody. Hi, that's good. How are you? This is my second time streaming ever, so forgive me if it's gonna be a bit of awkward at times with my long pauses. So today we are planning to do mostly a question-answer stream. I have a few ideas on other things that we might do later, but for now I want to start with questions and answers. So if you have any, feel free to ask, whether it's be about the fanfic, about writing, or anything you'd like. I am good. I am really good. Thank you. Let me open the chat. Okay, you should be seeing the chat the way I'm seeing it. Hi. I've set a few hotkeys for using the software, but I completely forgot them. So at times I'll be opening my software to see it again. Is Butterfly Rain Eren still alive? I need to know of his existence. Yes, he is in fact alive, and while I'm not going to say when or like in general whether we are going to see him in the future, I will say that he is alive and he is doing pretty good. Hello to new people joining. Generally speaking, some people were concerned for Eren a lot. And I will say that, like, at the moment that this flashback was shown, Wilbur was around 16 years old, and while he already wasn't doing really good, mentally speaking, he wasn't, like, cruel intentionally, so he did not do anything bad to Eren, so I'm gonna assure you on that. I'm thinking maybe we should like answer some comments from the latest chapter. Let me open it as well. Oops. Just so we wouldn't just sit in silence while I'm waiting for questions to come. It's hard to believe that we already have more than 100,000 words. Because I wouldn't expect myself to write as much since... How many months? It's been like 6 months, I think. Because I started in early October, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, but yes. So will George appear more often in the fic? Yes, definitely. He's a very important character, and I've been waiting to introduce him for a while because he's one of key characters actually in Arc 2, and he's also very important, like in general, the main plot line of the story. He is kind of a missing chess piece that I was waiting for this entire time. Hi. He is alive. I can now die in peace. Maybe not die. Is chat stuck? Well, for me it is not, but I don't. Let me know if something is wrong with it. So returning to the comments for a second here. Also, we got 364 comments in less than 72 hours since the chapter has been published, which is absolutely insane. Thank you guys for commenting so much. It really is surreal. Every time I get a new comment, I get so excited to read it immediately. So you can be assured that I see every comment that you guys put. I don't always answer them because mostly I don't have anything interesting to say, or I would spoiler something otherwise. So, but if you ask some important question, just some people ask like when the next update is, and maybe like some other questions, you can put them in comments as well. I will probably answer unless it's something really spoilerish, or if I want to unless I want to answer it on a stream or in my Discord server. I hang out in Discord like very often, so we can join. You can see the link right here. Here. So in the end notes of the latest chapter, you can find my socials, Tumblr, YouTube channel, Discord server, and stuff like this. So feel free to ask me any questions anytime. Is Purple gonna come in the storyline? Yes, definitely. He is one of the characters that should appear in the future, but it's not gonna be anytime soon. He is like a while ago, I had a tag on BR. It was like a friendship tag for Purple, Drista, and Tommy. I just removed it because we have still a long way to get there, so that people wouldn't get confused searching for this friendship in the fic. What is the relationship between Butterfly Rain, Tommy, and Dream in the future? And what is your plans for the future of BR? So I have most of chapters planned. As you can see here, I currently have up to 40 chapters planned. Actually, in my plans it's 43 chapters, but I very positively put it like as 40. I'm really hoping I can turn it down to 40, because 43 is quite a lot. You can agree with me on that. And I don't have each chapter planned meticulously down to every detail, but I have outlines of main events that I want to have. So but I can't spoil anything to you because I don't want to take away the intrigue. But just like be assured that there is a ton of scenes that you will absolutely love, and I'm very excited to get to them. And I also cannot say anything about a relationship between. Well, if we like talk about current standings, Dream is kind of a mentor figure to Tommy, because on one hand, Dream wants to be a friend to Tommy, but Tommy, as you have seen in the latest chapter, has kind of a hard time accepting the fact that somebody will use him as a friend, let alone someone as like high standing as Dream. He admires them a lot. So for now, it's a lot on the mentor-apprentice type of relationship. So on to the next question. Does Wilbur have something to do about Eren's disappearance? Because I've got a feeling he might. Yes, he does have something to do with his disappearance, but I will assure you that it's nothing like necessarily cruel. I mean, Eren was not harmed in the process, but he definitely purposefully isolated Eren, because if Tommy actually did ask Phil to let Eren live in the palace, he absolutely would. And maybe if Wilbur did not interfere, Eren might have ended up as Tommy's personal guard, or like serving among royal guards in general. So hi, Kami. So after I discovered BR, I read a lot of your other fics, and I really loved It's Not Kidnapping If He Is Us. Just a question, is it on hiatus? I was just really curious, no pressure. So yes, I have my other fanfic, It's Not Kidnapping If He Is Us. If some people are not aware, I'm going to show it here real quick. So it's my first big fanfic on our 3. Here you can see it. It started like in April. It had a 1-year anniversary like a few days ago, like 2 weeks ago to be exact. But yes, so it's a canon divergence fic where 3 versions of Tommy from different universes travel back in time to meet the younger self and prevent him from joining Dream SMP and getting traumatized. So we have a dimension travel fic with 4 different versions of Tommy. Their names are Tommy, the 14-year-old version, Theseus, who is Tommy's apprentice, or not Tommy's, I'm sorry, Techno's apprentice. He is that version of Tommy if he joined the syndicate after Doomsday. Also, we have Thomas, who is generally canon-compliant version of Tommy, the one who got killed in prison during prison arc. The only difference is that he's a bird hybrid. He has albatross wings, and we also have Lucid, a protege from Protege AU. He is Dream's previous apprentice. And so yeah, the story revolves around them traveling back in time to kind of adopt the younger self. It's mostly a very humorous fic, and it has a lot of angst as well, as you can see from the text. And well, I haven't updated it in a while because I got really involved with Butterfly Rain. I definitely have ideas and have an ending planned for this fic. But for now, I'm really busy with my exams and school studies, and I only update PR by working like really hard. And by that I mean when I was writing the last chapter like 19 for Butterfly Rain, I've spent like sleeping. I've only slept for 2-3 hours each night so that I would get it done. And if I wanted to update It's Not Kidnapping If He's Us as well, I would have to sleep even less. So for now, I'm postponing it until I have more time, which will probably be the end of May and start of June. And I'm really hoping that I'll be able to update 2 fanfics at the same time. And I'm really glad that you're enjoying it, because since it's one of my first fics, it really I wouldn't say it's like very bad, but my writing skills were lacking very much. Next question. Will Butterfly Rambo or Butterfly Rain Rambo ever realize how Wilbur is? Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but starting from next chapter or chapter after the next chapter, which means 20 or 21. There will be some interesting changes with Butterfly Rain Rainbow. Next question. Because of Butterfly Rain Eren, we saw that there are other beings besides humans, and the GM race, I forgot the name by chance, would have other royalty people or other races or not. So what I'm getting from this question is whether they are other like species, types of people in the world, except for humans. Yes, they are. Avians for once exist, and there have also been a mention of mermaids related to Nikki, and dragons as an emblem on SMP's symbol. And yes, definitely there are not a few, but a lot of non-human creatures that exist or existed in the world of Butterfly Rain. And there are actually a few characters who are not exactly human, apart from Nikki, Eren, and Jim, who is obviously a shapeshifter, but his shapeshifting ability, which is kind of a spoiler, but I'll let it pass this time. He is not a shapeshifter like in the pure form, so shapeshifting ability comes from something else. So he's definitely not human. and definitely not a pure shapeshifter. He's something else, which grants him with ability to shapeshift. And just a little bit, a little small hint that I have. If Jim is not a human, then it probably means that his siblings aren't normal people as well. So next question. I hope Rambo just teaches Wilbur soon enough. We'll see about that. Since Eren was shown as some sort of hybrid and Beard and Shapeshifter, is there any other like them? Yes, there are a number of characters actually who are not exactly human, and it's a quite important part of the story. And actually, an interesting thing is that Eren is not necessarily a hybrid. I mean, hybrid is a term that got really popular in fanfiction. But I would say that like avians in Butterfly Rain, they are not exactly the same as fandom imagines them. They are a little bit different and more based on myths and legends rather than like fandom created type of hybrids. And there are no hybrids like avians are more based on mythology, which means that the hybrids and non-human creatures in BR are not based on Origins SMP or any other like servers. They are mostly based on myths and legends. So we are definitely not going to see Enderman hybrids or Piglin hybrids. Avians are just of a sort of this gray ground between them. Will anyone die in the story? There are a number of dead characters that will be mentioned, like starting from Kristen and a few others, like Buffy and whatnot. Will anyone die actively in the story? Well, I will not say for sure, but I have one character who has like 80-90% chance of dying in the future, but I have not really decided yet, because it really depends on how we are going to develop future events. But there will definitely be a number of near-death experiences. Is there more an appearance in future chapters? It's kind of a spoiler, but I will say that his introduction wasn't made for nothing. There is an important reason, and we'll start to get more into it next chapter in chapter 21. I knew he has something Snowflake Sky, or I knew he has something had to do with it, just with Wilbur being overpossessive of Tommy. Yes, I had, but the henchman didn't suddenly disappear. Yes, Wilbur was involved with that. Tommy is really very similar to tsundere. I think I heard this term before, but I don't know the exact definition, so let me look it up. It was says the video character is not who is initially cold, stern, stoic, harsh. Yes. I mean, he kind of has the vibe, not romantically, of course, but yes. Will Rambo and Tommy ever be friends? That is also a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell anything about it. I need a break. Not really. I mean, I could use a break, but exams are coming soon, so I will not really be getting it. But maybe after the school finally ends and my university application will be accepted. After that, I can relax for a few months before university starts. Who is your personal character in this alternative universe? Then you can say so, but choose another person as well. Well, it is definitely Tommy. Otherwise, I would not be writing him as the main character. But I also have a number of characters that I enjoy writing. Jim is a very interesting character to write. Other than that, I pretty much like every character in BR. Rambo not so much, not because his character is bad, it's because his point of view is a little bit hard to get right. But other than that, Sapnap is fun. He is really fun. Wilbur is it's kind of a puzzle writing him. He always has something interesting to add to his point of view, to his scenes. But as at times he scares me as well, just as much as you guys. Is Butterfly Rain Sam human? Well, as you have seen in the latest chapter, there has been a hint that he might not be. So the chapter itself pretty much answers this question. Will the chapter start getting more violent? Well, as you can see in the tags of PER, there are a number of, let's say, concerning tags, like near-death experiences, torture, drowning, character death, and this one as well. So you can imagine that it's not going to be all rainbows in the future. What is one of your favorite SPI fanfiction? Oh, I have a number, but currently, as of the moment, I think it's The Case of Fire Inside. It's a pretty popular fic as well. It's about Selkie Tommy. It's one of my favorites, and I'm really excited to see it update. Other than that, there is a few. Other than that, there's a really cool alien AU that is called there's Star. I'm not sure. Let me look it up for a second. I have a number of subscriptions. I have a bad habit of forgetting to unsubscribe from fics that have already been finished, but you can see all of the stuff that I'm subscribed to. I love this fic. It's this one is a superhero AU by one of my favorite authors, Life. They're a very cool person. I chat with them sometimes. Always an anxious mess. Also one of my favorite authors. And this one, I love it. I love it very much. It updates regularly, like once a week or so, and I get really excited about the updates. It's an alien AU. But this author, they have a really good writing style, so it's very interesting to read, even though this alien AUs are very popular and there are a lot of them in general. So I also have, let me find it. I think it should be somewhere here. Give me a second. This one. This one is one of my favorite fanfics as well. It's an ongoing fic, and actually, the interesting fact about this fic, it's also based on a book, or another book, or a webtoon. I believe there is a book and there is a webtoon based on a book, and this fanfic is based on this book as well. So it's really similar to webtoons that I've been reading, and this fanfic is actually the first one. It's one of the reasons why I started writing Butterfly Rain. They gave me an idea that writing a fanfic based on a webtoon is possible, and that's why I decided to risk it with writing a fanfic based on Remarried Empress. This one is about Tommy getting reborn, I guess, in a different universe, in an infant princess body, who is named Zizius, who is in the Zizius is a character from a novel that Tommy have read, who is killed and accused wrongly over something that he didn't do and was killed in the original story. So when Tommy wakes up in his body, he tries to change the events of the book. It's a really interesting, it's a really well written fanfic, so I really recommend to read it if you have time. Other than that, let's move on. I will wait for Wilbur to embarrass himself. Yes, I think a lot of people are waiting for this retribution. Does Dream being a shapeshifter have an explanation in the future? I'm really curious about it because it seems that he's the only one to have the ability among his family, or more of everyone. I have answered this question a few times on Tumblr, but not a lot of people know the answer. So yes, there is an explanation, and it will be presented in the future. It's actually a big part of the main storyline. And question about whether his family members have any abilities. I will not give you a straight answer, but him being blood related to Foolish and Jesta is important, and they may not be humans, exactly humans as well. They kind of already said it, so I'm going to repeat myself and say that Jim is not exactly human, and his shapeshifting abilities come from the fact that he is not a human. He is not independently a shapeshifter. It's ability that comes as a bonus, I guess. I feel like I should be worried about these tags. Not unless you get triggered by them, which is the reason why I put the tags in the first place, so that you will be warned. I mean, I've mentioned it in the early chapters that there are like 12 levels of angst in Butterfly Brain, and the maximum we had is about 5-6 maximum. So it is going to get worse. Can we get a random fact about Butterfly Brain George? He has a number of sleeping masks. In fact, he has so many of them that he needs a separate place in his wardrobe for them. I think he has up to 100 of sleeping masks and designed differently. He really likes his beauty sleep. Will Tommy snap soon? Depending on which level of snap we are talking about, because we've seen him snapping on a small scale, talking back to Phil, calling out Wilbur, or like arguing with Techno. But if we're talking about a big snap, it's going to get it's when it's gonna happen closer to the climax of the story, or else it wouldn't make as much of an impact. San says, I'm sorry, but I just love the way you talk. Sorry if that sounds kind of weird. No, it's not weird. Thank you very much. You flatter me. I'm blushing. The way I talk, it probably is a wild mix of accents in my speech. I'm not an English speaker. I mean, I am an English speaker, I'm sorry. I am an English speaker, but I'm not a native speaker. English is not my first language, and it's not my second language either. It's like a foreign language to me. I will not say which language is my mother tongue, but I also speak Russian freely. It's my second language. So, привет всем русскоговорящим в чате, русским, русскоговорящим. Yes, hi to everyone who can speak Russian in the chat as well, because I see a number of Russian names. So yes, my accent is a wild mix of American, Russian, and maybe a few others that I've picked up by watching Minecraft YouTube. I was just watching your first answering questions, so I feel ashamed I'm late. Oh, you're not late. We've started like half an hour ago, so it's not you're not really late. And I'll probably like leave the stream to be saved as well. You can rewatch. It later if you want. If you want to see what we were talking about earlier. I introduced Kogi with a sleep mask with many mushrooms. It will be appropriate. Will there be more disc 2 of Love soon, Tommy and Jim? Yes, absolutely, because Butterfly Brain is, before anything else, a disc 2 centric story. And we will definitely be getting more fluff, both with disc 2 and Awesome Dad. Will we get Phil both? And if yes, how soon? Can't wait to feel really bad for him. We will definitely be getting Phil's point of view, but not sooner than we will get Techno's point of view. Techno's point of view is very important to see some things from Phil But that I mean that if I try to push Phil's point of view first, it wouldn't make as much sense, because Wilbur's point of view and Tommy's point of view, they are both very unreliable narrators. Nobody in BR is a reliable narrator. They are all very biased, depending on the information they know, but depending on their emotions. So I wouldn't say that you should take anything that was shown in Tommy's point of view and Wilbur's point of view as an absolute truth. And you can see how much point of view can differ when we will see Techno, who is considerably sooner than Phil point of view. I think we should be getting Techno in like 5-6 chapters at max, and after that we can get to Phil's point of view. But yes, we will definitely see things from his eyes. For someone who doesn't have English as neither their first or second language, your writing is really, really good. Thank you very much. I've been trying to improve it. I think the hardest part of being a writer, English writer, without having English as your first or second language is vocabulary. You can manage with grammar, you can look up rules, you can have a beta to check the sentences after you, but the vocabulary part is really, really hard, because I can write in Russian pretty well, because I've been reading so much books when I was younger, so many that I have picked up a lot of writing styles from other writers. But when it came down to writing in English, I had a lot of struggles with not knowing words. And you can see it in my early works. For example, It's Not Kidnapping If He Is Us, that we have mentioned earlier. The first chapters are really like scarce on vocabulary, I'd say. The vocabulary is very simple. I don't use much of interesting or descriptive verbs, but I've been trying to improve my writing style. And recently I started reading Game of Thrones, like the book that the TV series is based on. And I found it not only really helpful in terms of inspiration, of writing in the semi-medieval atmosphere, in semi-medieval fantasy genre, but also they also use so many interesting words. And I've been when I read, I have a WhatsApp group just for myself, where I send all the new words that I learn, and then when I write a new chapter of Butterfly Rain, I just open that group, scroll through all the words that I can use, and kind of implement them in my writing so that I would memorize them better. So yes, it's a tiring process, but at the same time, I'm really glad. I'm really enjoying how my English is changing and improving in the last year or so that I've been writing for. So, да, здравия, да, привет еще раз. Привет всем русскоговорящим, кто слушает и кто присоединяется. I love your writing, it's so pretty and descriptive. Butterfly Rain is probably in my top 5 favorite fanfics. Like of every fanfic I've read, even from other fandoms. Thank you, I'm really happy to hear that. I think it's one of most common ways to say that you love a fanfic, but you have no idea how much it warms up my heart. And I think all the other authors, if there are any in the chat, can relate to that feeling. When people say that they enjoy your fanfic, it's really one of the best feelings ever. They always put a smile on my face when I check comments in the morning. I now wonder if Wilbur's apology for the inkpot scene was a true apology, because Tommy thought it's fake, but he BS'd. Yes. The thing is, Wilbur's apology, whenever he apologizes, is really honest. Wilbur is a pretty arrogant character. Maybe not necessarily arrogant, but he is hard on admitting his own mistakes. So whenever he apologizes, it means that he went through a very long internal turmoil to get to that point. And yes, his apology was honest, but Tommy does not believe it. In fact, if you read earlier chapters, there 90% of the time when Wilbur does something, Tommy says it's fake or has other intentions, and while it's true for half of the time, the other half Wilbur is being honest. It's just Tommy doesn't accept any of his words for truth. How many chapters do you think there will be in total? So currently I have 40 chapters put in the description of the fanfic, but in fact in my chapter plans we have 43, but it's a very positive prediction because it probably will slide on either side. It can be like 38 or it can be 45. I really don't know at the moment, but it should be around 40, and my estimated end word count should be around 250,000. That's a lot, I know, like twice as much as we have now and a little bit on top. But I am very motivated to see the story finished because I have so many good scenes that I want to write. They kind of get me like hyped up each time that I get to a new bullet point in my plans. For example, I was really excited to finally show you Wilbur's point of view, his interlude chapters 1 and 2. Because you finally got to see something, someone's in-depth perspective of the story that isn't Tommy's. Because Rambo's are like, they vary from Tommy's, but they are very shallow as well. And Rambo is a biased character. And Wilbur was very fun, not necessarily fun, but interesting to write. And more interesting I was to see how people's views of him changed after seeing how the story looks from his perspective. So, to the next question. On your Discord, you posted a snippet of an alternative version of chapter 11, I think, where Tommy dies. I wondered if you wrote more of that. I absolutely did. In fact, I have it. I have it in my files. I have 100. I have 1,600 words. 1,600. Oh, numbers are hard. Numbers are very hard. I have around this many words in that alternative version. In fact, if you want to, I can show it to you now. It's not finished, and I'm not sure if or when I'm going to finish it, but there is quite a lot there. Do my family or friends know that I write? My older sister knows that I write. She is also into Dream SMP, but she does not read fanfiction. She just knows that I write, and she is my best friend, so I share my joy. Sometimes I show her like the fan art, and sometimes like the comments. She is really happy for me. Other than that, my friends, well, most of my classmates know that I write fanfiction. My school teacher, English teacher, knows about it as well. I finish chapters late at night mostly, publish them, and next morning I have to go to school, and I am all like excited and bouncy because of all the new comments pouring in. So it would be pretty much impossible to hide, because people ask, why do you look like, why are you grinning like an idiot? And I'll be saying I posted a new chapter and people are liking it a lot. So yes, my classmates know. Pretty much anyone in my closed environment knows, except for my 5 younger siblings, my parents, and so on and so forth. English isn't my first language either, but I do at some point admire writing, even though I don't understand some of the words. Yeah, I am really glad to hear that. I have a number of readers who are not English, who don't have English as their first language as well. There are a few people who even started translating Butterfly into other language, which is also absolutely insane to me, how much work they put into doing that. There is a Russian translation, there is a German, Spanish, Portuguese, I believe, but I don't have all of the links gathered together. I want to do that in the future, and they are not really up to date. I think Russian version, it got like the furthest. It's on chapter 7 or 8 around when Tecna appears, but they are all kind of slightly behind. So maybe after like they gather a few more chapters, I will start adding the links to the chapter endnotes in Butterfly Rain. Sorry, I was drinking some water. Your English is really, really high. Honestly, I did not expect that you are not a blood English woman. A blood English woman, interesting word. I'll add that to my vocabulary. Thank you. I'm trying to improve my English. I've passed IELTS exam and I got 8 for speaking. Which, like, judging by my speaking points, I should be speaking better right now. It's been back in October, maybe that's I am out of practice a little bit. But yeah, I am hoping to. I am not going to study abroad. I decided so. Not like I would not. It's not like I am certain that I would be accepted, because I would probably not. My marks are not the best, and I don't have much achievements to offer to a university to get a scholarship. But yes, but there are a number of universities in my home country and in my home city that offer kind of an English-based education, I guess. There are a number of British universities that have their own universities in my city, so I'm hoping to be accepted in one of them. When I first read your story, I thought English was your first language. Didn't realize till your first live stream. Yes, my first language is definitely not English. Sorry, I was drinking water again. By the way, yes, I just mentioned the one shot. Oh, sorry, I was mentioning a one shot that I've written. It's a one shot. It's a scenario from chapter 11. If you remember, in chapter 11 there was a ball that Tommy participated in, and he told some unpleasant things about Trambu, and he got kicked out of the event by Phil, and he ran away and then was found by Dream in cat form. That's how it went. But I also started writing a one-shot alternative scenario where Tommy was not found by Dream and instead was found by an assassin, and he got killed. So I can show you it here. If you want to, I can read it live. Let me take a sip of water. So if you want to, I can read it on stream. So again, it's an alternative scenario for chapter 11. When Tommy comes back to his senses, it's in a dark room with molten candles and silver rays spitting through one large window. Moonlight chases shadows and the cushion seats and into the corners of a fireplace, empty and cleaned out of ash in the face of warm summer. He recognizes the place through memories blurred by time, steaming mugs on a silver tray, smell of hot chocolate, and squinting sleepily, nose scrunched up, when the sounds of shuffling steps had pulled him out of his slumber. Wilbur had long since been asleep by then, curled up in an armchair twice the size of him, with Tommy balled up in his arms, and didn't feel nor see when the Emperor had tucked the blanket up their chins. Tommy remembers blinking hazily as the soft kiss was pressed to his forehead, and falling back asleep, feeling safe and warm. It brings more tears to his eyes. Tommy swipes them away before they could moisture his swollen cheeks more. There are thousands of corners in the palace his incoherent mind could have flung him to, be it a bush labyrinth in the courtyard or an empty dining room, and yet every wall painted in feathers and wings tells him he is in the northern wing, the place Tommy had left 6 years ago and avoided like the plague since then. Too many memories were associated with this place, memories that melt through steel like through wax, and that one thing that his mask wouldn't stand against. Tommy chuckles humorously. It comes out as more of a joke. None of that matters now that he was already reduced down to snorting, sobbing mess. For as long as nobody finds him like this at least. Tommy pushes himself upright, knees wobbling. The room tilts sideways and into a full roll, and he squeezes his eyes shut while latching onto the windowsill to keep himself from falling over. He wants to cry again. He is in no state to be walking around by himself unless he wants to be seen as blind drunk, but he can't stay for long either, or he plays a risk of his family stumbling into him. And Tommy isn't sure what's worse. A few more minutes, he tells himself, as he thrashes the window open and lets the wind sway him on his feet. It's instantly better when the cold draft of fresh air eases the stinging on his face and smolders the fire in his lungs. Tommy draws in a long, deep breath, nearly keeling over in relief. His eyelids feel like they're glued to each other when he forces his eyes open and up to the stars blinking above. Gray lights fade in and out through the curtains of thin clouds, reflecting Tommy's own exhaustion. Somewhere in the gardens below, the crickets sing. Tommy's attention is swallowed whole by the steady thrill of their voices, and through the last of tears blurring his vision, he doesn't see the shadows moving until something grabs him from behind. Tommy flees instinctively, his fingers locking around the handle of his dagger, but the attacker twisted out of his grip and fire bursts into Tommy's abdomen. He screams, eyes blown wide. A hand plasters his mouth, muffling the sound, and it doesn't let go until Tommy gathers his throat raw and his lungs dry. The arm coiled around his mid-body is gone just as suddenly as it appeared. Tommy collapses to the floor, dropping his dagger and gaping like a fish. He barely registers his head connecting with the floor, the throb of it's nothing in comparison with pure agony flaring in his stomach. Tommy presses his hand over the source of the pain, desperate to ease it. Something warm and thick trails down his fingers as he is stricken by the sickening smell of copper. Goodbye, Princeling. There is a voice somewhere behind Tommy. A black figure steps over the prince's crumpled form and leaps out of the window, leaving him to bleed out alone on the floor with nothing but a flash of purple to remember the attacker by. Tommy's breath comes in short pants. Sweat beats his forehead, skin bristling with chills. He can feel the metal inside him twisting around and sinking further when he does as much as inhale too hard, and as the gravity of the situation downs on Tommy, tears ooze out of his eyes and drip to the floor. It's no nightmare born from Tommy's daily worries and night terrors. An assassination was attempted at him. Ever since the Emperor has been almost killed, they had considered the possibility of somebody trying to get to the Crown Prince too. Techno prepared him for this exact case, even if it was more about keeping himself out of the weapon's way rather than deal one with one already inside him. Tommy is still alive, and his heart reminds him with each frantic jab at his ribs. He searches the floor with his arm blindly until something solid comes in its way. Tommy grits his teeth as he jerks himself upright. A scream dies French in his windpipe when he manages to force his back to lean against the leg of a chair. I'm not gonna swear on stream, sorry. That hurt. The effort leaves Tommy gulping air greedily, eyes screwed shut. Cold air floods his seething veins at the thought of as much as glancing sideways at the wound, but he can't save himself if he doesn't see what he's working with. Tommy drops his gaze, gags and nearly doubles over as a spasm of his torso makes his pain spike. His muscles freeze and he prays for them to stay that way as he risks another slow look at the wound. That what once had been a pristine white shirt is now sickening dark crimson, sticking to his stomach and staining the knife couched in the very center. And it's a kitchen knife of all things, one of the bigger ones that the cooks use. If it wasn't for the fear striking his guts open any further, Tommy would have laughed at how humiliating this position is. The assassin, that bastard, he swallows back the bitterness and the salty tears, didn't have even the respect of stabbing me with a real weapon. The pain doesn't come in waves as sharp as before. Tommy's eyelids droop as his heart plummets into lazy, unsteady beat. Everything that Techno has ever taught him slithers through his fingers like sand. It's like Tommy's floating away from his body, hanging to it by a loose thread. You're falling into shock, Techno tells somewhere behind him. Calm and collected. You need to stop the bleeding, or you will lose consciousness soon. Snapping back to awareness again, Tommy's eyes itch to surge upwards in search of his brother, but he saves himself the effort. Techno is not here. The voice is just a pathetic attempt of Tommy's own mind at recollecting itself, but if it doesn't work. Okay, Tommy says, running a tongue over his chapped lips. I can do that. Tommy's trembling hands hover over the wound. More tears burst out of his eyes as he presses his palms around it. Blood paints his fingers and coats them like a pair of gruesome red claws. He can't tell if it's stopping the bleeding, but at least he can see the hole in his stomach. That's better, Taknahams. Tommy imagines his brother slipping down from the armrest of a chair, crossing his legs on the floor, just vaguely out of the line of his vision. The comfort of his phantom presence is enough that Tommy tips his head backwards with a sigh of relief. Stay awake, says. You need to be awake to call for help. Tommy lets his head fall in the direction of the entrance, blinking warily. He didn't lock the doors. There's a slit underneath, and if he shouts loud enough, maybe a guard or a maid will hear him. It's very likely he is going to rip his guts open, but he has to try. Tommy draws in as much air as possible without startling the wound, and lightning tears through Tommy, frying every nerve and bone to ash. He falls and he thrashes up and down, his arms and legs kicking out of control and bending at sharp angles as something surging up his throat. Tommy's jaw swings open to let out a shrill scream, but instead vomit erupts out of his mouth. It feels like infinity before Tommy's stomach is emptied and he crumbles to his side. His lungs burn, his throat is on fire, and for a few agonizing minutes Tommy can do nothing but gasp for air. One hand crashed under him, the only thing stopping the knife from thrashing the handle deep inside his stomach. The remains of bile trickles down his panting lips and pools under his chin, a sickening maroon color that he dimly knows can't be from anything but blood. And then another wave of shadows come. Tommy gets only a moment to whimper before he is back on the floor, every muscle in his body straining and going back slack at random intervals. He blacks out for the most of it, and when the dark dissipates he wishes that it didn't, because he heaves and he coughs and he gulps for air as more blood bursts between his lips. There is so much blood. He can't do this. He can't do this. It's a silent room save for Tommy's whimpers and sobs. Wind brings a dry leaf whirling through the window left ajar. Tommy anchors himself to the sound of crickets chirping. He is going to die. Help, Tommy croaks, quiet, barely above a whimper. He wants the pain to stop. He wants somebody to tell him that it's going to be okay. He wants his brother. Will be. Tommy has no strength to pronounce the syllables. His tongue feels heavy in his mouth. His throat is dry and it hurts, but not as much as the blade in his stomach. Tommy has never been in this much pain before, not even when he broke his arm falling off a tree when he was young and wailed as Tommy rocked him back and forth, whispering, "You're okay, you're going to be okay, I've got you," in a tone as panicked as his. He wants a sort of comfort now. Nothing matters, not the years they've spent apart and not the pain that Wilbur has caused him when he came back. Tommy will forgive him the hurt broken 10 times over if only his brother will hold him and murmur one more time, "I'm here." Tommy squeezes his eyes shut and tears burst from under his eyelids. "Please," he sobs, "I don't want to die alone." In the silence only hitched by Tommy's quiet whimpers and pleas, he hears footsteps, first slow and uncertain, they turn rushed when another wave of spasms makes the prince cry out, high-pitched and scared. Tommy screws his eyes shut again when the door is thrashed open and bright light slices his vision. "Theseus," a panicked voice calls out. Tommy, curled up in a pool of his own blood and bile, opens his eyes just at the right moment to see the Emperor's face turn deathly pale. So this is just as far as I got writing this one shot. It should be much longer than this. Maybe I will finish it, maybe I will not, but you got an exclusive look. Back to questions. We had a little bit of a break here. Next question. Do you have a name for the trio of Tommy, Dream and Sapnap, or Tommy, Dream and Bew? There is an official name for Tommy, Dream and Bew, which is Deceit Trio. It was suggested by one of the commenters on chapter 18. And Tommy, Dream, Sapnap. There have been a preposition to call them Fireworks Trio. But I'm not sure about that about that name, because in Dream SMP canon, Fireworks Duo, that name is already occupied by Techno and Topaz Dynamic. So if you have any suggestions on what to call Sapnap, Tommy and Dream, I'm open to them. I can't visualize things, I find it hard to grasp how characters look, and found the character descriptions very helpful, but was hoping you could give me ideas for abuse, hairstyles, and mannerisms. For hairstyles and mannerisms, well, if you have probably noticed a detail, but she uses her fan a lot, so maybe you can look up how like fans were actually used in like medieval times, I guess. Ladies use them to communicate different stuff. You can look up that. But other than that, use hairstyles and mannerisms. Well, I'll look into it, okay? I post the stuff in my Discord server a lot, so maybe I'll send there. You know, I get a lot of inspiration for abuse design and generally for character design, for clothes and hairstyles and jewelry from the webtoon of Remaria the Empress. So you can really copy outfits and hairstyles from there. I think it will fit into the aesthetic. Okay, nah, I'm depressed. Don't be depressed, it's just an alternative scenario. It didn't actually happen. Whoa, that was amazing, thank you. That one shot was awesome and silent but awesome, thank you. It's still a work in progress, and I would probably, if I continue working on it, I will probably change it 10 times over, but yes. Devastating but beautiful, thank you. Oh my, that was a good twist. Thank you, such a good writer, that was awesome, thank you very much. Maybe I am an okay author, but I'm not really good at reading things out loud, so I hope that it at least was understandable. Sorry, I was drinking some water again. So, by the way, if you're seeing this is my Discord server. Just open it up for a second. So yeah, let me close this one. I'm working on this one shot. Maybe I'll release it, maybe I will not. I'm kind of trying to focus on the main story currently, because you know, people are expecting new chapters, but I have a ton of ideas for one shots, and I have so many alternative scenarios, you have no idea. If you follow my Tumblr, I regularly get questions about how a story would change if something happened differently. For example, if Wilbur didn't run away, or if Kristen died instead of Phil, or if Phil died, was assassinated, and stuff like this. And I have a lot of ideas for each and every variation of the story. I kind of regret that I don't know how that I can't make a game out of it. I kind of have the skills, not like a professional, I'm not a game designer or anything, but I have some skills in C# and Unity. Unity is a platform for creating games, and I really wanted to create a game, but I don't have much time. But maybe in summer I had this idea of creating a small kind of a game where it would be like the last few chapters of Butterfly Rain, and where you can make your own choices and see how the story would resolve if Tommy makes different choices toward the end. Because I have the main endings that I have in mind, but I have also 3-4 alternative scenarios that would happen if one of the choices towards the end would be different. I know, but it's such an angsty, pretty chapter. Thank you. Sadly, I gotta do homework. Bye. Love your story. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, Sleepy Roses. I hope you do well on your homework. Don't stay up late. What's the next question? Should we be expecting more cameos of Minecraft YouTubers? Definitely. There is a number of characters, number of YouTubers. They are characters that will make appearances, but I think that we pretty much have all the major characters that we currently need, so none of the characters that I will introduce probably will play an important role. We have Purpled, we have Foolish to introduce, we have Gista, and other than that I don't think we have any other important characters to introduce that haven't made an appearance yet. I'm so curious about George. I started reading A Married Empress today, and the guy that George is based on, according to the Tumblr post, is very interesting. And Duke Ergi, one of my personal favorites in Remarried Empress webtoon, for reasons that you will understand if you read the story itself, is just a very sly character, a character that is yet to be, let's say, fully explained in the story, in the comic. And I'm really excited to learn more about him, as well as write George, who is based on that character. So yeah, Duke Ergi is definitely one of my favorites, so writing George based on him is very exciting. Will you post alternative endings sometime, or will some of them be exclusive for the people that watch the streams? Alternative endings. If I'll get them finished, I will definitely post them. But the question is whether I will finish them. So just as said, I'm going to focus on the main story. But after I finish the main story, I may write the alternative endings as well. But don't take it as a promise, because I had one other work. Let me find it. It is called Every Flight Begins with a Fall. Maybe some of you have read it as well. Let me find it. So that story have been finished back in October. I finished it, and after that I started writing Butterfly Rain. And that work, with that work, I have I planned to write 3 alternative endings for this work, but I only wrote one and then kind of abandoned it because for one, I was kind of tired of writing it. I was not on a burnout, but I definitely felt like I finished all the loose points in the story, and wasn't kind of really excited about writing the alternative endings. So I abandoned them and only wrote the first one. So I can't promise how it's going to be with Butterfly Rain, but we will see after I finish the main story. The canon divergence where Wilbur became king and crippled himself so he would be completely dependent on Tommy. You kind of confused this a bit, because in that scenario Wilbur did become the emperor, but he didn't cripple himself. He crippled Tommy so that Tommy would depend on him. In that scenario, for those people who don't know, I mused about on what would have happened if Wilbur didn't run away after Kristen's death. So what I assumed would happen is that Phil would eventually retire, because, well, for one, he's old, and Wilbur would become the emperor, and Tommy accordingly, I'm not sure if he would be the crown prince, but he would definitely be close to Wilbur. But Tommy, in this scenario, he would still be quite vigilant on his dream of becoming not a pirate necessarily, but a sailor, to be an ocean explorer. And but Wilbur, who is not only dependent on Tommy, but quite frankly is obsessed with him and behaves possessively. Even in the case that he didn't run away, his obsession would be even worse than in the current story. So up to the point where he would guilt trip and trick Tommy into staying for longer and longer. But Tommy would eventually realize what Wilbur is doing and that it's not right, and he would try to run away. And as a result, Wilbur would set up an accident where where Tommy would get crippled. And I assume that it probably would be he would either be paralyzed or he would be totally blinded. And in both scenarios he has no other choice but be dependent on Wilbur for the rest of his life. Like, theoretically he could have recovered from it to a certain degree, because it doesn't mean that he can't have a good life or be independent, but Wilbur would make sure that he would stay dependent on him for the rest of his life. So it's not a good scenario. It's worse than by my personal opinion. It's much worse than the original scenario, especially with Wilbur being the emperor. He would never let Jim anywhere near Tommy. So not only Tommy would be stuck with Wilbur, with an extremely obsessive and possessive Wilbur, he would also never meet Jim or Sam or any of the positive characters. Megan, sorry if I'm not reading your name right, living in the fear of sewer slide tag. Yes, it's kind of an important tag, a scary one as well. It's one of the highest angst levels. You're gonna see more about it, of it in the future. I need to leave, but I'll definitely watch the stream. Good luck with the continuation of the stream. Thank you very much. Пока, до свидания. Хорошего дня. That's worse. It's kind of worse. Hi, how are you planning out your story? Are there any events that you want to include, but it wouldn't make sense for them to be in the fanfic? Well, when I first started writing the fanfic, I have planned 12 chapters. Literally 12 chapters. I was convinced I could finish it in this small number. So it would be like 13, 14 chapters just to get to the ending that I have planned. But you see that currently my plans have raised up to 43. First they raised up to 20, then to 30 something, then to 40. And you can see that I'm filling them with new plot lines, with new characters as I go. But the ending that I have initially planned, it hasn't changed much. It just gets filled with new details. That's the thing. There are like two main styles of writing your fanfics. A more common type that I also follow is write, post, update as you write. You write a chapter, you beta read it, and you release it. And there's also second type where you plan out everything in the beginning before you even start writing. After that, you write the whole thing, and only after that you start posting it. So in the first case, you often start with like small plans with some main bullet points and a few scenes that you have in mind, but you don't really have each chapter planned. And what I really like about this style of writing is that you get a lot of different ideas in the process, and not all of them are going to fit in the main storyline because of the things that you have established in the previous chapters. The things that you have like solidly established, you can't change them in the future. There are some authors who change previous chapters slightly and then ask the readers to read them, but I don't really like doing that. So anything that I write, I will not touch until I finish like Butterfly Rain fully. Maybe then I will edit a few things, but anything that I have stated, it stays like the same. So there are definitely ideas that I had to change in some way or had to reject completely. But I get a lot of new ideas and a lot of scenes that I have vividly imagined in my mind, and I put them as bullet points. And I have vague idea of where I want them to be on my chapter plans. I have this interesting folder here. Sorry, a lot of opened. I specifically labeled it "Don't open on stream" because I have my chapter plans inside of them. I'm not going to open them, obviously. But there is one that contains a paint, literally a paint picture, where I kind of wrote stuff like chapter 21 and then put down some stuff. This happens, and then like have multiple of things like this. Kind of, there are about like 3-4 items each, and and I have like literally every chapter like this up to chapter 43. 43 is planned to be the epilogue. So yes, I have like general plans, but there are like 3-4 items in each chapter, and those are mostly like scene ideas, but I don't have anything like solidly written. Even in my chapter 19 plans, a lot of has changed. I took some plans from chapter 21 and moved them to like 19, and then I had to move some things from chapter from chapter 19 to 20, 21, 22. And while writing the latest chapter, I've written so many extra scenes that I have literally a document of 5,000 words with scenes that I haven't used for the latest chapter, and they will probably be very helpful when I start writing the next chapter 20. So yeah, you can expect that it will not take as long as the previous chapter. I'm really hoping to release it within like 2 weeks or so, but I maybe even if I write it early, I may delay it for a few days because I have my exams in early May and I won't be able to write at all. So I want to have something to post when this period starts, so that you wouldn't have to go without chapters for too long. So yeah. I'm sorry. We love clingy crime boys. But wait, the what? Well, I'm not sure what exactly you commented on here, but I can assume it's because of Tom Wilbeck making Tom. Oh, sorry. Let me recollect my thoughts for a second. Yes, kind of a dark scenario with Wilby becoming the emperor. Currently looking at your past finished works and definitely be checking them after this. You can if you want to. I'll try not to cringe from them too hard. I think a lot of authors face this problem, that they cringe from their own writing, from their works, and it especially applies to my older works because my writing was not really good back then, and I am not really satisfied with my writing style right now either. The early Butterfly Rain chapters as well. I like it. I like my writing in the process, but not after I finish it. So I almost never read my previous chapters because otherwise I would be really tempted to delete them. So it's kind of a blessing that I don't. Is it difficult planning writing a fanfic? Well, yes, it definitely is a very time and energy consuming process. For that chapter 19 alone, I've spent like maybe 25-30 hours of working on it, which is like a lot, you know? Even if you separate them to 3 weeks, that's still a very big amount of time. And when I write, I usually sit down like in the morning or in the afternoon, and I write till 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, then have a break for 2-3 hours, and then go back to writing. So I write in like 4-5-6 hour leaps without even standing up from the computer. So you can see that it takes a lot of time. It's kind of a vague question depending on which part of writing you talk about, but it's definitely a very rewarding process with Butterfly Rain because I get so many nice comments. I have so many YouTube videos and TikToks and art fan art on Instagram, Twitter, and in my Discord server as well. I get so many like positive feedback that it really motivates me, and I don't think that I will ever get a burnout from this work because you guys are supporting me really well on this. So very big thank you for all the readers. Do you watch anime, specifically Kagegurui, because Bill gives major Kirari Momobami vibes? Well, from the fact that I probably mispronounced these names terribly, you can tell that I don't watch this anime, and I don't watch anime in general either. I've watched some like anime stylish movies, I guess. I don't know the official name for them, like a full-length movie kind of animes. Like for example, this one. Maybe you'll know, maybe you don't. This one. It's actually one of my favorite movies ever. I love it really, really much. And other than that, I've watched a few other full-length movies, like anime style, for example, Howl's Moving Castle, or like I'm really forgetting the names because back then I watch a lot of movies in English, but back then when I actively watched these full-length movies, it was mostly in Russian, so I can't really say their names in English. But I watched a lot of Studio Ghibli movies, the classics, you know. So yeah, but I don't really watch like multi-series anime. One exception that I have is like Cells at Work. I just found the concept really, very interesting, and I'm really into biology, so I watched that one as well. I was gonna leave and forgot to ask you one last question. How would you feel about others making one-shots based on the story if they gave credit? I absolutely positively like when people do that. There are a number of one-shots and works that have been inspired by Butterfly Rain or directly use characters from my fic, and I really approve of them. Really, if you write and post one, I will most definitely link it here, like with in the special section. All of these works have been inspired by Butterfly Rain or use characters from my fic. So yes, I really like them. If you write one, I will read it. I will give you a kudo, and I will comment, subscribe, and read them. Yeah, I really like it. I just don't have anything much to say about it. I am very positive about this. Do you plan on having a second arc for this? So having a second arc for Butterfly Rain, if you mean like of writing a sequel, yes, I had ideas for Butterfly Rain sequel. As you probably know from the work tag, Butterfly Rain is going to have a happy ending eventually, and I was thinking of writing kind of a small sequel, not a very lengthy fic, but a small sequel that is like purely comfort and fluff. Maybe not 100%, but mostly fluff and comfort, like just to get you an idea of how things settled for Tommy after the main events. So we will see if I'm going to write it, but it really depends on when and how I finish Butterfly Rain's main story. Do you have any ideas for future stories as well? Yes, I have two ideas. I have two main story ideas. One of them is based on a book that is only available in Russian. That's part of the reason that I want to write a fanfic based on it, because not like people speaking English, they don't know about this book. Russian speakers in the chat may know this one. So, this book. I want to write a fanfic based on this after Butterfly Rain. I'm not 100% sure if I will do that, but I'm really excited. I would be really excited to do that. So basically, the story, the setting is kind of in a like I would say 19th, 20th century, I guess. It kind of has this sort of vibe. It's a fantasy story where there are special people in the world who have been chosen by planets. They have different abilities that are based on the planets. So there is a king, an emperor in the story who was chosen by the sun. So he has abilities based on that. Anyone he touches will like turn to ash, literally, and he can control fire and stuff like this. Not necessarily fire, but light. And because he is he has been chosen by the sun, he has been chosen to rule over the rest of the special people, and each of them are connected to one planet in the solar system. There's one for Mercury, for Venus, for Earth, Mars, and every other planet, and also for their moons. For example, Earth has their moon, and Saturn has a few moons and stuff like this. And every single one of them give different abilities to special people in this world. They are sometimes called incarnations of this planet. So yes, this is a very interesting book, and I've bounced ideas with a few people on how different planets will be matched with characters in Butterfly Rain. This is a kind of a spoiler, but the main character has been chosen by the moon, and she has abilities of like absorbing other people's abilities and using them. And I wanted to give Tommy that role, but also there is one character who has been chosen by Earth. He is also one of the most powerful people there, because while others like draw like powers from planets in the sky, his planet is literally under his feet, which makes him like super powerful on the level of the sun guy. And I thought that Tuba would fill the role really great. So if I write the story, it's going to be very clinch duet centric, with a lot of awesome that, and with dark SBI as well as dark Dream Team. So yes, maybe after Butterfly Rain I'll write the story. I love the song you got the chapter names from. It seems so perfect for the fic. Yes, Golden Throne. If you didn't know, this is a fic that I use song lyrics from Golden Throne for my fanfic. It's a fairly small song from a small content creator, but I really love it. If I remember correctly, it was recommended to me by one of my readers in the Discord server, and I'm really glad that I chose lyrics for Golden Throne. Actually, a lot of my future chapter plans were based on the lyrics of this song. So if you look up the lyrics, you can make small predictions about what might happen in the future. Polina Kosolapova, I admire you. I hope that doesn't sound weird. No, it doesn't. Thank you very much. I'm very flattered. You write an amazing story, your releases are pretty frequent, that's crazy. And you have your story plan too. I want to reach your level someday. Thank you very much. This is really warming. This on one side, you make me feel a little bit guilty, because I don't think that I'm on that high level of writing. Maybe I'm being too self-conscious or being overcritical of myself, but I don't really like my writing as much. But if you think that if you look up to me, then that is absolutely fine. And I hope that your writing progresses. If you write or whatever you do, you'll get I hope and I believe you'll get great achievements on this. Just keep trying and improving yourself, and it will work out just fine. Sees I'm an Inkpot 07. Yes, it's an amazing fanfic, a one shot written by Will, one of the people in my Discord server. You should definitely read it. It's unexpectedly sad for a crack fic, but very interesting. Fluff, yes, Fluff. That book sounds so cool. Now I wish it was in English. I really wish as well, because I would want to discuss it with other people in this community. This is kind of similar to a question you answered previously, but what would you say is your favorite fanfic ever? Oh, that's a tough one. I think I have a pretty solid set on let me find it. So this fanfic is also pretty popular, and it's one of the first fanfics that I've ever read in in this fandom. Let me find it. No. Let me find it through the author. This author is one of my absolute favorites. I'm subscribed and read their works regularly, and there is one popular fanfic by them that you most definitely you probably know this fanfic. That's like 100 miles. I absolutely love this work. Just I don't need to say anything else. It's just amazing. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should. It's like modern setting, where Tommy is under the guardianship of Jim, and Jim is not a good guardian. And well, let's just call those things the way they are. He's abusive towards Tommy, and Tommy decides to run away and reach out to his family. And by that I mean he reaches out to Techno. He travels 100 miles to a different state to get to Techno, and that's how the main events of the fic ensue. I followed it like since chapter 1 and saw it finished, and I sometimes read this work, and it's one of like the works that I admire really much. I've opened it many times, like early in my writing career, to get a hold of the author's pacing and writing style, because I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I think this is my absolute favorite. If I had to choose one, this would be the work. You should absolutely check the author's other works as well. For example, this one is updates regularly, and their canon divergence fics are amazing as well. This one is absolutely amazing. This one. If I had to choose my second favorite fanfic, this probably would be this one. Or if I had to choose a one-shot fanfic that I like the most, it would be The Bard and the Prisoner. It's written like, it's fascinating. It just if you're into canon divergence type of fics, you must check it out. It's Sam-centric. Tommy is just mentioned, and this is like unusual like for me, because I mostly read Tommy-centric stuff, but this is one exception, an amazing exception that I'm willing to make. A description of Tommy having a look like he despises your entire existence. To be fair, he mostly does. Anyone who is not Phil, he probably despises everyone who is not Techno. Maybe Phil, he does not despise Phil necessarily, but he most definitely doesn't look happy when he gazes at Phil either. Your story ideas are really cool. I'm really excited to see the future of writing. Thank you. There are more and more people subscribing to me, and this is amazing, but also like, it's a positively overwhelming thing, because on one hand I'm very excited to see all these new people. On the other hand, I'm like, guys, I'm just updating Butterfly Rain now. What else are you expecting from me currently? Should I be writing other stuff as well? Why are you all subscribing? It's kind of this kind of panic. As a person whose current way of writing is little bits here and there, no beginning, no end, I really admire people who can plan their stories and also name them and do summaries, descriptions. You need to start somewhere. With my first fanfic, like It's Not Kidnapping of He Is Us, I was really going and blindly. I had just a funny concept that I wanted to write, so I just slapped the first chapter out of scraps that I found on the road, figuratively speaking. In fact, I had very different plans in the beginning, but one commentary on the first chapter completely changed what became of the story. So yeah, you have to start somewhere, really. And even when I write my current chapters, they don't start as like a very structured things. Mostly I have my phone pulled out at all times, and I have again, another empty WhatsApp group where I just write down small ideas, paragraphs that I have in my mind. I get very sudden bursts of ideas or inspiration during my math lessons, for example, and I need a place to really quickly write down a paragraph or two. And there's usually like 1,000 words of unrelated stuff, one sentences, like a speech of a character that is going to happen 15 chapters later, stuff like this. Really, you should just have your phone or a notebook or another other place to write down all of your ideas. Really, because a lot of writing is based on having ideas and building around them. You're not going to have a structure thing from the very beginning, and big part of my struggle with chapter 19 was that I kept changing the structure of the chapter. I've swapped swapped scenes with each other many times. I've added scenes, I've deleted scenes, I've cut out scenes and changed them slightly. So yes, it's a lot of work, but you get better and better with time. I love 100 Miles. Yes, yes, you absolutely should. Also, that one, still I haven't finished the sequel. You should read the sequel as well. It's amazing. It made me sob, but it was so good. Yes, it was amazing. I think it was the first fic to ever make me cry. Have you read fanfic, The Case of Fire Inside? Yes, in fact I have talked about it a little bit earlier, and I'm really excited to see it update. It's one of my personal favorites as well. And there is one chapter in The Case of Fire Inside that is written from Jim's point of view, and this one was part of my inspiration for a Wilbur point of view chapter in Butterfly Rain. I just thought of the way the author has written Jim's point of view, how they went deep into this character perspective, and I thought I want to make something very similar. In fact, I wanted to like message the author to ask how did they write something as fascinating to help me with my writing. At the end, my anxiety got better of me, so I didn't message them, but I am planning to do so in the future, just to chat and tell them how much I love the story. Butterfly Rain was the first fanfic I read on R3 back in early December, where it's the beginning, and it's been amazing to see you get the credit of. Thank you very much. I like the inclusion of Tommy's name being Sidious. I always think it's a nice detail. On the day when I read Aus Poetic, a new chapter, it occurred to me how much Atlas fits Butterfly Rain Tommy. Yes, there are a number of Greek mythology characters that fit Tommy very much, including Atlas, Theseus, Icarus, and a few others. There are a lot of fanfics that steered from those ideas. So yeah. Some people find the use of name Theseus annoying, but I really stick to it. I find it very interesting. It's an interesting possibility, definitely. So yeah. I think, guys, we've been streaming for 1 hour and 30 minutes, about that, and as you probably hear, my speech is kind of stuttering and my voice is suffering a lot. So I'm thinking we will finish here. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Спасибо всем, кто присоединился к стриму. Надеюсь, вам всем понравилось. I really hope that you have enjoyed. And I'll see if I'll do streams like this in the future. But I really enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you for all the amazing questions and support. So yeah, again, thank you very much for coming, and we will end here. Just let me find the way to end it. Oops. Okay.